And now to a second similar hand. This one that I just told was at Bellagio. Next one's at Aria.
All right, here's how the second hand started. This one was at Aria, a younger player who was wearing a Kansas City Royals hat. He was very tight post-flop and tight aggressive pre-flop. He made it 15 pre-flop. There was a call. There was another call. I called. There was another call. 5 of us went to the flop. Like I said, I had a 6 of hearts.
Okay, so a few things going on pre. One, this is like the same week or like 2 weeks later from that hand I just told you. I was over limping hands like this during this stretch, a 6 of hearts. But I wanted to play hands against this tag player who was very like fit or fold post-flop. For one, I think he was really tight raising pre-flop in general, especially under the gun. So there's a lot of boards that are going to miss him. A lot of low boards are going to miss him, and he's not going to like it. Also, he had played 2 hands very passively post-flop with overpairs up to this point in the session. And what was working for me, he made some pretty tight folds, and they both happened to work. One I agreed with, but it was still like fairly tight fold. The other one I thought was horrendous, but his opponent showed a hand that was ahead. So he's been playing overpairs pre-flop aggressively, post-flop passively. He's folded too, and he's had this conditioning that they were good decisions. So it's like being ingrained in his mind to let these hands go when the pot gets big on later streets. These have been good decisions. Like his thinking hasn't snapped because no one has showed him a bluff or anything like that. So that was working for me. What wasn't working, that we were very, very multi-way. I would have loved to have been heads up with him. But if I re-raise, I'm re-raising a very tight player's under the gun raise. He's probably just forward betting. So re-raising made no sense to isolate him, but I was in position against him. There are plenty of other people in the hand. I'm not loving that, but I had to deal with it. So let's go to the flop action.
Okay, left you off here, but what was the flop? Flop was 5 of spades, 4 of spades, 4 of hearts, and what was the action? The original raiser checked, second player checked, third player checked. I bet 40 into about $70, $75. The one guy behind me folded. The original raiser check called, so at least he is coming to the turn, and the 2 players between us both folded. So I did get heads up in position going to the turn.
All right, so now I got exactly what I wanted. I wanted heads up against this pre-flop raiser. Got it. The other 3 people folded, and I'm starting to rep not really something specific, but this is an amazing board. There's so many straight draws. There's a flush draw. He's probably already scared about trip 4s, even though I'm probably not calling with all too many hands that have a 4 in it. And setting the stage. If it went like totally brick, if it went like, you know, non-spade jack, non-spade queen, probably not continuing with this to the river, this bluff, because for one, that hits some hands that give him a boat. Also, none of the draws come in. So there were a lot of wet cards that could come in. I was hoping for one of them, and then I would continue the story. Let's go to the turn action.
All right, what was the turn card? Turn card was the 6 of spades. Amazing card for me to rep any number of things. What was the action? He checked. I bet 80 into about 150, and he called. Heads up in position, going to the river.
Perfect card on the turn. So the spade hits, awesome, because he's putting me on spades. He's worried about that. Also, it's a straight card. Now, if he's really, really thinking and like trying to dial it in, I probably have like 6-7. That's probably the most likely hand that I call with pre-flop. That suited connector that also has, that's also an open ender. Probably raising more open enders than gut shots. So the 6 on the turn completes a gut shot. Not the open ender. 6-7 now only has a pair, but it's just a really scary card for him. The sizing was important. Wanted to get called here, but have him fold the river. So went a size that I thought still left enough so that he would fold the river. Like if I went bigger and he called here, I would be worried on the river, even though he would hate it, that he would just feel like he's in too deep and he would just call it off. Didn't want to do that. So I bet the biggest amount I thought I could to get a call here, but also leave so much depth on the river so that I had fold equity to the river now.
All right, river card. 9 of clubs. Important that it's not a spade. The rank doesn't matter that much as long as it's a 9 or below. And what was the action? He checked. I went all in for about a half size bet, about 160, and for exactly 160 into about 310. He said, I guess I beat nothing while he was deliberating, and then he folded.
9 doesn't change anything, which is actually really good. If it were another spade, that would have been bad, because there's nothing stopping him from having like aces with the ace of spades or kings with the king of spades. This is one of the reasons he probably called the turn. He had a big pocket pair with the spade. So if he had on the turn, you know, like red kings, I think he might give it up on the turn, but there's no way he's folding kings with the king of spades in it. So I got that call on the turn probably because he had the spade. Then I dodged a spade that would give him a flush on the river. So that's great that it was a non-spade 9. The fact that it's a 9 doesn't do anything, but that it's not a spade was awesome. And the sizing was very good. I left an amount such that there was fold equity. I left about a half pot size bet. There's about 315 in the pot. We're about 160 effective. I went all in. He didn't think for too long, and he gave it up. So there you go, some great multi-street bluffs from back in the day. 2016 was really tight. I played in Vegas from like March 15 through like April 17, and then again regularly starting in mid-21. Like 2016 by far was the tightest I ever saw the player pool. I think there was one river, I bet $30. There was like 3 to a flush and no straight possible, and a guy folded a set of 8s because unless they had quads, they just folded. And so yeah, so these weren't quite as easy. Multi-streets and a lot more money was at risk, but these are some interesting hands from February 2016. Too bad I didn't get to discuss them on the poker road trip to Windstar back in the day, but discussing them now on camera. And remember, rice is a spoon food.